Good morning. We are in Lleida province and we're going to take a bit of a ride along this beautiful river Segre today. We've got some history, we've got some beautiful things to look at, and we've got some tales to tell. Tales from the riverbank. This is usually a beautiful tumbling stream. Maybe a third of it is just a gravel bank and with a lovely stream going down the middle of it. It just looks healthy, full. I'm not going to pretend this is easy. At least starting wasn't easy. It's alright going along. I just wanted to be this side of the bollards to do the intro. I should have just lifted the bike over. You know, funny business with the camera today. It's just shut itself off. I hope that isn't a sign of things to come. So I don't know what I've told you already. Hopefully I've shown you the beautiful flowers and the engorged river Segre behind. This road is really fallen to bits. We've got a black kite directly overhead. Hold on, is it a black kite? I know I've said it before, but I'm just so loving seeing water where it should be. And while I'm waxing lyrical, hold on, let's stop. Oh, that's a steep hill. These are peaches. We're going near Aitona, and Aitona is famous for its peach plantations, which every end of March form the most magnificent fields of pure pink flowers. No leaves, just the flowers. It's an incredible sight. But what's interesting is that the tourist board in Aitona are attempting to sort of say, well, Japan and its cherry blossoms, very famous, very long way away. Why not come to us instead? And it's working. Anyway, what I was showing you is that the fruit already coming. It's probably 3 weeks since flower. And these need to be thinned out. So they just leave 2 or 3 per stem. They leave 2 or 3 peaches to enable them to grow to full size. I mean, it's flowing because it's an irrigation canal. So it's not like the ones in Britain, for example, where they're mostly for transport. That is a lot of brambles. I have to pick my way through carefully, I think. I bet some of you know just how badly brambles and lycra mix. Thank you. We didn't have to go that way, there's a proper road just to my left. Just slightly off script, always a bee eater. I do like bee eaters. They're so gaudy and they're so happy. Anyway, this is off slightly off piste because it's a bridge and I can't not go over a bridge, sometimes several times. And here's a bridge, so I need to go over it. Is a interesting river, hydrographically speaking. I just love all these little islands that are here, making this a braided river. You remember those from school? I've just remembered that every time that I was going to cross the river I was going to tell a story, or rather recount a bit of history and some stories, and I've just missed that opportunity. it's going to be very difficult to stay on course today. I've gone back to the Garmin for today because I didn't want the batteries on it to get knackered by not using it. But I did miss this turning. We're on the right road now. Anyway, what I should be telling you are things like the Segre is Catalonia's longest river. And it's a weird one because it starts, I think it does actually start in Spain, right up in the Pyrenees, but it then flows north into France, where it turns around, rejoins Spain and comes all the way down here. Red and white now. These verges have been so beautiful. Right on the side of the road, I didn't see them. I'm used to seeing ancient medieval towns. This doesn't have that feel to me. It's a very strange place. I have no idea what it's called. Everything is so new. It's all brick. Yeah, that's alright. Don't worry about it. So, don't get too excited. This isn't the tales from the... It's not the tales from the trail. It's just a beautiful spot to tell you something about the River Segre and its raers or rafters. Now, the rafters of the Segre joined with rafters, and I don't mean silly inflatable rafts. We're actually talking about the ancient tradition of bringing wood from highlands to lowlands by way of lashing them together and riding them down the river. And they did this on the Segre for hundreds and hundreds of years. But it is a dying thing, tradition. And the current raers are worried that there aren't anyone who really wants to take on this fantastic tradition. I'll show you some footage of it. It's pretty impressive, because they go from very, very small streams up in the Pyrenees all the way down to the Ebro, where they would be lashed together in much slower moving concentrations and, if necessary, towed by boat. But on the Segre, it was all these raers. But what's interesting is that 2-3 years ago, the rafters of Austria, Germany, Czechia, Poland, Latvia and Spain got together and requested that they become recognised by UNESCO. And they're recognised by UNESCO as an intangible cultural heritage of humanity. Isn't that fantastic? Riding log boats downriver. Amazing. Good job keeping off the main roads and keeping close to the river. Brian, happens here too. Fly tipping. Oh. loads of them around here. Just back on tarmac for a bit. Quite nice. This is such beautiful and different country again. I think the next one's going to have to be a desert, isn't it? This whole area was one of the most important to the Al-Andalus, the Moors. The whole of this area was basically their garden, which is why they fought for it so hard. And they were determined to keep hold of it. Unfortunately lost it in their 1300s, I think, after about 500 years. But it was them who introduced all of the irrigation and drainage. So brilliant with water. But I think this is going to be one of those drainage ditches, I suspect. The line of old plane trees. Another little canal, which should mean it's pretty flat for a while. I just had to do a hill. Outrageous. Well, we do have a complicated bit coming up. So obviously it's the time to decide that I was enjoying this rather lovely road alongside this little canal. Too much to come off it. So this town has a castle. I don't know what the town's called. We'll get a chance to see it. This is an absolutely fantastic ride. It's just tiny little road after tiny little road, but I'm absolutely loving it. It does help with all the birds and bees and the sky, which is, you know, not very cloudy. And just as the trail becomes a little bit more tricky, requiring two hands, I've managed to break the mount on my camera, so now it's going to have to be handheld the rest of the way. It's going to be awkward. Oh, I've got you in the mouth at the moment. It doesn't seem right, does it? Doesn't seem right, does it? It's more like a gully than a track. It's the Abbey. Well, yeah. We've just come under the Abbey, the new high-speed rail link bridge over the Segre, which is right next door to us again. And it's just, the train has just whistled past, doing 300 or whatever it does. Very impressive. And what better place for today's Tale from the Trail? Would you believe we're going to talk about Montezuma? We are. We're going to talk about Montezuma, the Aztec king from 1503 to later. We're not actually going to talk about him. We are, but only in part. So Montezuma, Aztec king of the Aztec Empire, vast empire, which fell to the Spanish. Initially to a conquistador called Hernan Cortes. very famous man. I'm going to be really put off because every so often a duck flies by, and I bloody love ducks. Hernan Cortés, the most famous conquistador of the lot. When he went to Mexico to conquer the Aztecs, he took a chap with him, and that guy's name was Joan Arnau. And Joan Arnau was a noble. And what I didn't really realise about Montezuma is that they're always depicted as almost like Native American Indians are. But they weren't. They were incredibly, well, obviously wealthy, but great architects. So Montezuma's palace was 200 metres by 200 metres, and it had countless rooms and courtyards. The central courtyard was so large, it was where the entire empire was run from, with a myriad of meetings and courtiers, and it was an incredibly sophisticated organisation that he was head of. But they seem to be depicted as sort of men with bones through their noses and straw skirts, and they really weren't. But he greeted Cortés, and as legend has it, he deemed Cortés a god and basically handed over the entire empire to the Spanish. It wasn't quite like that. There was an awful lot going on, but it also was a little bit like that. What isn't widely reported is that there had been 4 portents in the years leading up to the Spanish arrival. There was a comet. Oh, sorry. There goes another one. That just stopped in Lleida, so it wasn't going flat out. So there'd been a comet, but weirdly, one of his main religious advisors had said that gods from abroad were going to come, and a year later the Spanish arrived. And so, surprise, surprise, they sort of wondered if the portent had come true. Montezuma himself died in suspicious circumstances. No one knows if it was the Spanish or his own men who'd killed him. But he had a daughter, and this nobleman, we'll remember his name, it's Joan Arnau, fell in love with Montezuma's daughter and took her back here to Catalunya, to the banks of the river Segre. Now her name was Chipahuatzin. Now, Chipahuatzin travelled here with an entourage of 13, including her brother, and they got married. Not her and her brother, that'd be wrong. I mean, her and her beloved, her beau, Joan. And they lived on the banks of the Segre, further upriver. And unfortunately, it broke her heart living here. She hated it, absolutely hated it. And at a very young age, in her 20s anyway, she died, again in suspicious circumstances, so we all suspect that she killed herself of a broken heart. She absolutely hated the cold. That's it. That's today's tale from the trail. Montezuma's daughter lived here. Who knew? You're going to believe that. That's another one. Might as well see everything, so I've punctured. Well, that was exciting. I'm quite glad it's over, however. There's only so much adventure I can take. I don't know if you're like me, but when you pump up a tyre after you've had a puncture, do you get bored? I get really bored. So you pump it up and think, yeah, I'll do. That's enough. And it's funny because it is so soft. It's like bouncing around on a plush leather sofa. Not sure I was ready for more adventure, but I've got it. Just had 3 e-mountain bikers coming the other way, so I know it's open, and they looked at me and they shook their heads. Negative. It's actually getting very foggy. I suspect it was flooded not so long ago. Lots of rabbits about. Okay, that's the river. It's flooded the road. No way round because it's the river. I know it's a trait I share with most men. Hate turning around. Hate it. Hate turning around. Hate going back. Now I'm looking at every other tiny little road that I could possibly take that might be dry. So if the one I tried to take was the little road of the river, I'm now on the little road of the forest. So let's see if that keeps us a bit drier. Looks nice. Make you ache for a hammock, doesn't it? We are absolutely back at the level of the river again, which is a shame, but it's not flooded yet. Really, I don't know why, I really didn't expect swans. What's this in the road up ahead? Fox, surely? Yep, fox. Doesn't know what to make of me, does it? Young fox. So, I think we're in the homeward stretch, and I must confess, I wouldn't mind if we were. It has been a fantastic day. The roads, this is just about as big a road as we've been on, and as smooth, and it's pretty good, but it's still pretty tiny. There's been no cars, 3 e-mountain bikers, a field worker. I think that's been about it. Oh, it's turned into a long day. I'd forgotten just how slow gravel is. So I thought the whole ride would take me 3 hours or so. I've no idea how long it's taken me. Longer than that. Probably closer to 4. I'm doing 17 kilometers an hour at the moment. I mean, I should take breaks and things, but well, that turned into a real marathon. The outward leg, easy, over in seconds. The return was at least twice as long. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. However, we've got about 1 kilometre to go. This is as close to the river as we're going to get, I think. So I'll say my goodbyes here. But we do have a beautiful cement factory to ride through in a moment. So I might show that after the credits. But until the next one, thanks for watching.